And we just had Trump giving commencement speeches, going to Arlington Cemetery, standing up for this country like a president should. And we got more judges just trying to block everything he tries to do from the Oval Office and from the cabinet positions that have all been assigned so far. There was a great interview this week on Tucker Carlson from Harmeet Dillon, and I was not very familiar with who Harmeet Dillon is, but I would like to play you a couple of excerpts from that, and hopefully YouTube will let me do that. We'll see here, and we'll talk about these as we go through them.
Average $200 million in some cases is what it costs a city or a county to comply with a decade-long consent decree, because they have to do all these endless trainings and they have to fill out all these forms. The Department of Justice in the last 4 years has spent 65,000 hours in the Civil Rights Division, which only had about 60 lawyers, so tens of thousands of hours monitoring these consent decrees. I mean, it is a mind-boggling volume of waste.
So in the end, the lawyers get rich and more people get shot to death.
That is correct. That is the average outcome of a consent decree.
Wow, it's just so evil. It makes you think, like, maybe we just burn the system down and start again.
Well, what we're doing is one by one looking at our
existing consent decree, and I haven't gotten through all of them, but, you know, we got to the point where
So we got Harmeet Dillon, and she's talking about these consent decrees that the government puts out for cities to follow, and a lot of them are related to like executive orders and mandates and things that the president puts out. And what she's relating to us is that used to go through the process that they're supposed to do. There's basically no teeth to them whatsoever, but it makes these cities or whoever's the focus of one of these consent decrees to start jumping through all the hoops. They have to pay some attorney to monitor the whole thing the whole time. These attorneys just make money hand over fist, and it's a part of the system that's broken. So I'm highly appreciative to Harmeet Dillon for addressing this thing. This is what we voted for. We're finding out that all these cabinet members are just uncovering fraud all over the place, man. And hopefully it's awakening to people. I'm not sure why that needs to happen. I'm under the impression that law and order is law and order, and it will just proceed to function without the popularity contest necessary here. But we're turning minds. People are waking up all over the place about how they thought something was a certain way, and we're finding out that it's not that way. So far, Doge has uncovered $473 billion worth of waste and fraud. And there's people saying that they don't want to know about it, that we shouldn't be uncovering all this fraud and stuff. So I don't know what's going on. So thank you all for joining me here. Beverly Asselson, hello, and Sonal, Jerry Plus. Hi, Carol Burton, Trusty Mod. Thanks for being here, keeping a nice clean house while we try to discuss what's going on in our country here. Here's another little clip from Harmeet on the Tucker Carlson show.
I think about that. So, we're giving people clear direction and opportunities. And if they don't want to take those opportunities and they want to be in resistance mode, this is not the place for them. And so, there are career paths elsewhere, and many people have chosen to take that. Some of them regretted it. Some of them tried to come back. I think it is best that people who have passions to do something that's opposite of what the president's current agenda is should do that elsewhere. Not on the taxpayer dollar. Just my personal perspective.
So you've uncovered a bunch of stuff already. And one of the things that you uncovered, I think,
And there you have it. Once Harmeet came into, all right, so Harmeet is the attorney in charge of the Constitutional Rights Division of the DOJ. And she just laid down the rules for all these lawyers that works for. She's got thousands of lawyers that work for that office there in the DOJ. And they quit. They haven't made it into a courtroom yet. They just write reams and reams of just volumes of legal mumbo jumbo that gets filtered through all the things. And these people, literally 30, 40, 50-year-olds, just stood up and walked out on their jobs, which is fine. I mean, that means that they were weaponized to work for an administration that wasn't Trump's administration. They cannot be, they can't be in the middle of the road. They got to have their agenda. They got to be performing their agenda in their jobs. And since they weren't able to do that anymore due to the directives sent down from the Trump administration, they quit. They quit their jobs, man. So Harmeet's doing all this work without these attorneys now. She doesn't think we need them. And she is moving to rescind some of these consent decrees. And a lot of these decrees were put on cities like Minneapolis to reform their police department. And some of them were to enforce DEI in places of employment within the federal government. So what's up? Real Time Media is in Florida now. How's it going, bud? I saw you on the road there. Doing some prospecting. Sounds good, man. What's up there? Florida. Charlene and Slim and English Rose and Candyman. Right on. And Dustin. So you guys are hooking up. All right. Sounds good. We're all over the place. MAGA is everywhere. It's everywhere. All right, I got one more clip from Harmeet Dillon here. It's a great interview if you want to get to know some of the people that are in Trump's cabinet and are on the MAGA team. This is a great opportunity to do so.
Attention of a
I don't
judge.
understand. I mean, I thought the legal profession was self-policing through the bar. I don't understand why nobody is ever disbarred except for like representing Donald Trump. I don't understand that. Where is the bar, the state bars?
You raise a very good question, and a question I've raised myself. And so we have today in 2025 lawyers who are under prosecution. I mean, this is happening in Arizona, in Nevada, and other jurisdictions, California, or a bar complaint for who they represented. You're absolutely right. And what arguments they made, even privately, to their client. And not even in front of a judge. John Eastman is an example of that,
Yes.
and so many others. And yet you have corrupt monitors who are holding cities hostage effectively, and all the taxpayers in those cities for their personal benefit. And then you have city councils who are elected to represent the people, and instead they would like to see the cops handcuffed and see the streets burning in their cities. And this is a lack of accountability. It is a broken system. And at least the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division is not going to be participating in making that broken system worse under President Trump's leadership and under our current Attorney General.
Amazing.
You know, what a concept, right?
Well, that's an amazing story. I didn't even know that was happening, but it explains a lot. So basically, you just got there. They've been going on that most people, including me, didn't know about. What are some of those things?
Well, there are 11 sections in the Civil Rights Division, and some of the things that we're going to be looking at in coming weeks and months include the rampant anti-Christian bias happening throughout the.
All right, anti-Christian bias. We all know that that's going on. We watched the FBI come in and start investigating Catholic churches and stuff. The main reason I brought that clip in was because we have discussed this about the Bar Association. It's supposed to be somewhat of a self-regulating entity within the legal profession, that the Bar Association has a an ethics standard that all lawyers and judges are supposed to meet, and they do not enforce it somehow, man. All these judges are activists. They're overstepping their positions on the bench and trying to legislate from the bench, and that's not how it's supposed to work. You know, our Congress people, oh man, we got issues, transmission issues. What's going on here? It's a beautiful day out. Why are we having transmission issues? YouTube is just bumming me out lately, folks. And the sun. Yikes. Out of here today. But anyways, if you want to see more of that, check out Tucker Carlson's interview with. Saves us a lot of money, that's for sure. I think we started up 2 new nuclear plants in since 1973, I think is what he said. And that is due to 50 years of over-regulation. The government basically put nuclear power out of business, have been overcome with science. Nuclear event at a nuclear facility anymore. And Trump wants to open that up so that we can start building nuclear refineries, Party Bonzo. Yeah, it's and we need to be energy efficient here in this country. And right now, Trump is inviting trillions of dollars of investment into this country, and we have to have enough energy to put all these businesses into action around here. So Biden, when he came in, he shut down the oil industry. He shut down the pipelines we were building to facilitate that for these small modular nuclear plants. And Trump mentioned that it's similar to the way that freeing up nuclear plants here in America. But we need to get some bad numbers here, Carol, and it's looking like we might be spinning, but it's just, now it's bounced right back up to where it was. And YouTube might be attacking me right now. I've kind of gotten on under the wire a lot in the past, but I was not able to leave any comments on better over here. And I just find it hilarious. That all the trolls, they don't have nothing to do. They've been trolling us for create good content. So they're just out there trolling away on any little video we put out, hitting that smiley button. Ain't it something? There's absolutely no reason. Oh, it was fine until I moved. See how this does here. Okay. Hopefully that solved the problem. All right, thank you, Trina. Now it's this week. They all had to do with nuclear power, revamping the nuclear system. And then the 5th executive order had to do with restoring the gold standard of science, which I don't know exactly how to define that. I've been talking to my friends about this. How do you restore the gold standard of science? And that comes down to where you can find a scientist that will say anything. Scientists will take whoever is funding them, and they will basically agree with the person. All right, so far so good. But the numbers are diving here now too. Oh well, we'll keep trying. We're still here, Patriots. We're everywhere. MAGA is everywhere right now. It's just taking the rest of the people to figure it out, man. Yeah, ACB, I think they should bring back cursive handwriting. It'd be something that everyone should know how to imagine, that where your kids don't know how to write cursive. That's weird, man. So Trump is still just plugging right along, man. And then he did a commencement speech at West Point. J.D. Vance did a commencement speech at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. And he's just putting it out there. He is the most transparent president we've ever had. He's telling us right to our face what he's doing. Everything he signs, he's got a press conference, he's taking questions, and filtering out the bad questions and stuff like that. The press is asking better questions now, because I think they realize they're not going to get away with just asking stupid questions anymore. These I have not seen. It's just hard to imagine that it's 2025 here, and after all the lies, the deceit and harm that has come to people from the mainstream media, it's just staggering to me to know that people are still watching it, and that even my feeds that I watch, they'll take clips from it and talk about it as if it's even relevant, and it's not. It's not relevant whatsoever. And when will we just stop with the MSM and let them die an inglorious death, to be totally ignored by all people because of their lies, the evil that they have brought on our country? There's some seriously damaged people out there, and you can tell that, like when MAGA Warriors does their videos, when they do a flag wave and the people driving by, they're lost. They actually believe all the stuff, all the lies that have been told to them on the mainstream media about Trump, basically. They're driven by hate. They are not based in any type of knowledge. They're just spouting off and regurgitating things that are told to them. And this is a disgusting looking meme here, but this is what's going on, man. They're just gobbling it down and hitting it out to the next person. And it has to do with the corporations, the pharma companies, the politicians, the media. They believe everything. Exactly. Hey, glory be. So that's kind of gross, that meme. But it's, a picture is 1,000 words, man. And that's exactly what's going on, man. What else came up was I was watching Senator John Kennedy question, I think, the head of the Energy Department, the Department of Energy. And this guy brought up the fact that from the day Trump won his election to the day he got inaugurated was a period of time that was 76 days long. And in that 76 days, the Department of Energy authorized $93 billion worth of loans. And that is more than the Department of Energy has loaned out to people in the last 15 years. So in 73 days, $93 billion went out the door. And you can't tell me that wasn't arson. That wasn't somebody just lighting the house on fire before the next tenant moved in, all right? And these Democrats were all talking about how we needed to have a smooth transition of power, how we're ruining democracy by not facilitating the transfer of power. And here we have them just blatantly not doing exactly what they were accusing us of doing, man. $93 billion in 76 days. That's more than $1 billion a day. And $1 billion, And some of these people requesting these loans, they didn't even have a business plan. They didn't even have a scope of what they were going to do with the money. They were just like, give me the money and we'll figure out what we'll do with it later. $1 billion is $1,000 million bills. And I mean, there is no such thing as $1 million bill, but $1 billion is 1,000 million. And they just got rid of $93 billion of our money in 76 days before Trump took office. And this is unheard of. This is absurd. And this should be criminal. And that's where I hope we're going to get to the bottom of it eventually. It's just that there's so much of this going on that it's hard to decide where do we start. You know, like Elon said, everywhere's a target. If you walk into a room and you got to hit a target, every wall, every ceiling, every floor is a target in this government right now. And it's bad. And if we don't get a grip on this, we're going down. Glory be, 8,000 pardons. I got something on that too. So they're taking a hard look now at the auto pen issue. And we got James Comer, one of the good ones apparently, but one of the good ones that doesn't get anything done ever, is he's having more hearings. Right, Corby, more hearings, no arrests. And Biden was compromised with dementia and stage 20 prostate cancer from what they're telling us. Yeah, so Congress is not looking very good here. And once again, are we going to just allow this to continue to happen? So something other than the original way of doing things is going to happen here. We need action. We're on a ship that is sinking right now. And if you don't pick up a bucket, exactly, Party Bond, you and I would have that money clawed back from our accountants regardless if there was a balance, and the banks would go after us for the remainder. Why isn't this being done for these fraudsters? That's our money. That's our taxes they stole from us, basically. So they steal our money, they steal our charity, and then they mismanage it, they lose it, they can't find it now. So I got to ask, in 2020, we voted for Trump, or other people voted for Biden in 2020, all right? Neither of us got what we voted for. The people that voted for Biden wanted a president, and what they didn't know at the time, what was being hidden at the time, was his compromised mental abilities. So the people that actually voted for FJB in 2020 didn't get what they voted for. The Trump people, we didn't get it because they stole the election there. And were they trying to kill Joe Biden? I mean, knowing what we know now, they were allowing this guy with stage whatever cancer and dementia to go walking out on stages with stairways that didn't have railings. He was tripping on things. Did they want us to see? Remember when Joe was walking up the steps of Air Force One and he tripped 3 times? I mean, did CNN really want us to watch Joe Biden just tumble down those stairs? Is that why they were doing this? The evil is huge. It's huge, but we stand against it. We're winning against it. We have no fear of it. But it is everywhere, and how we get around it, that answer has not shown yet. That answer has not been revealed yet in how we're going to get around this. We do got some arrests that have happened with some of these judges, but then once again, another judge stepped into the ring this week with the conflict between Trump and Harvard right now. And Harvard's not. Who else knew all the numbers about Harvard before, a week or two ago? Now we find out Harvard's got $52 billion worth of assets that they're investing and earning $2.2 billion every year. That Harvard is a tax-free has tax-free status, so they're investing money. Are they paying taxes on the profits that they're making from that $52 billion they're investing? They're making $2 billion from that. They get $1 billion from people coming into the school with tuitions. And then the government is giving them another couple $1 billion every year. For what? And Trump tweeted about it, True Social post about it just yesterday, that 31% of all the people going to Harvard as students are foreigners. And these are people that hate America, and they're not even, Harvard is funding their tuition. They're bringing in 31% of the people attending Harvard from other countries, and they have an agenda. So we got to put a stop to that. Why are they getting billions of dollars of our tax money and then being declared tax-free? They don't have to pay taxes. They are a politically motivated entity, and just like any church that went about, you can't bring students in from foreign countries. We want to know who they are. You have to clear it with us. And a judge stepped up and said Trump can't do that. So how is this system working? Where is it wrong? Where do we fix the system? We're all sitting in a bus that's broke down, and nobody wants to get out of their seat and look under the hood, basically, man. Yeah, D, I don't believe a word of that. D's is saying Trump is using his meme crypto coin to sell time to be with the president. That's not right. Pay Trump $2 million and you can meet with the president. Just not right. That doesn't sound right to me, D's. Sorry, but I don't know where you heard that piece of information. There's lies all over the place, man. Yeah, and Harvard was an established school. You went to Harvard, you had it made the rest of your life. You were in the Harvard Club. You get hooked up with jobs. It's the way it is with any Ivy League school. They're everywhere. You go to everywhere there's Franklin and Marshall people employed, you get a job at. That's how that's how they do it, man. Geez, I keep up on Trump stuff. I haven't heard a peep about that. So when you go to like Status Quo News, they're saying all kinds of stuff that isn't true. People are making stuff up about Trump and presenting it as truth when they have no facts to back things up like that. Trump does raise money, so yeah, there might be dinners that he's having to raise funds for his campaign, but Democrats are doing it too, Okay, is that the gold card that we're talking about here? The speedy way to immigrate workers here? Okay, well, Trump's allowed to raise money, but and he's allowed to establish whatever he wants to establish, man. We voted for him. We voted for his brain to be in power, basically. So my point is, we got to stay unified, all right? This is what Congress is not doing a good example of, with passing this big, beautiful bill that Trump needs to have passed right now, because Congress hasn't passed anything else in the past. Congress hasn't established any of the Doge cuts with law. That needs to be done. And they're just splitting up the Republican Party because Ron Johnson and Rand Paul don't want to sign on to this bill because it raises the debt ceiling to by $5 trillion, Every other president in history has raised the debt ceiling, tracked in order to establish these cuts with laws. There is the possibility that with all these trillions of dollars of investment here, our gross domestic product will go up in price, will go up in value, and that the debt seems smaller. If you have, say, $100,000 debt and you make $100,000 a year, that's a big debt, right? But if you have $100,000, having a business in the U.S. is going to keep them from having to pay the tariffs. That's the whole idea here, Glory B. Yeah, Glory B, I want to be there at the parade for sure. That's going to be on June 14th. There's going to be a parade in D.C., a military parade. That's definitely something to see. So we're having hearings, investigations into what was the last 4 years of FJB. He was being interviewed. He wants to sit in his basement and have a little earpiece. Remember, he came right out and said it. Barack Obama said this. Knowing what we knew when FJB was elected, he was mentally incapacitated. Did they want him to die? Were they walking him across stages with sandbags on him, hoping he was going to trip and break a hip and be out, you know? I mean, it really seems like, in retrospect, that the Democrats were just trying to get FJB eliminated. But, you know, he kept getting back up. Every time he fell down, he stood back up. The cancer didn't kill him. They could still jack him up with enough drugs where he could somewhat make coherent sense every time they made him speak. But however you voted in 2020, nobody got what they voted for. And that's not good for democracy now, is it, right? Even though it's a republic and we could argue about that and split ourselves up over that, but it's pointless, all right? We have a constitutional republic. There's a constitution. Everywhere that this country is going wrong is where we have strayed from the framework of the Constitution. Some other industry numbers here. The vaccine industry makes $90 billion a year in profits. Of course, they want to continue to make $90 billion in profits, but we're finding out that the vaccines are damaging people to our country's detriment. They're giving kids autism, so now we need science to prove it. You can find scientists at Yale, Harvard, and Stanford that will say they're hurting the kids, and you can find scientists from Yale, Harvard, and Stanford that say the vaccines aren't hurting kids. So it's crazy, man. The cancer industry makes $320 billion a year off of cancer, off of managing the deaths of people with their radiation treatments and their chemotherapy treatments. And there's other ways of fixing people with cancer. But those people get censored, taken out, literally just taken out. They're not alive anymore. Sued in court. There's many ways that they've been taking down, these people with alternative treatments to cancer. They make the treatments themselves illegal. People were having to travel to other countries in order to get some of these treatments because they're illegal in America. So if there's another way of curing something, why is our government making laws that you can't do that to people, man? All right, there's Republic Road Reel. How's it going, bud? Good to see you, Josh. And most of these problems are really just simple to solve, okay? Mainstream media, overnight, the FCC could say, that's it, your license is revoked. You are not allowed to broadcast in America anymore. Easy, overnight. Pfizer is not going to be able to inundate people, plant the seeds in their heads about cancer until they go to their doctor and ask for Pfizer's drugs. Overnight, we could solve that problem. Overnight, we could solve the cop problem with cops just trampling on people's constitutional rights by requiring each cop to have a liability insurance policy. Simple, easy peasy. And the insurance companies would surely agree to that. They would be able to make money on that. And then they would also self-police the bad cops because they wouldn't police department. And then the taxpayers, they end up funding the settlements on that. It's happened in the construction industry where everybody has to have insurance now. So seems to be working fine there. Overnight, we could solve that problem by requiring police to have a liability policy. So many of these problems are solvable, just simple solutions. Okay, another like superstar, like we got Harmeet Dillon, you know, kind of an unnamed person who I'm not familiar with, but man, she comes into the DOJ, she's rattling cages. The belligerent are self-leaving, you know, they're getting themselves out. They don't even have to fire them, right? Another superstar like that is this Mike Davis dude, man. He's in with the DOJ also. He's head of the pardons. He's looking into the 8,000 pardons that the auto pen machine signed. And we're going to get to the bottom of whether or not Biden even knew that they were using that. Were they using that auto pen to make money on people? Because word is out that certain people wanted pardons and they were able to buy a pardon in the last 76 days of FJB's presidency. All right, D, so what? So what? Trump did, in fact, hold a dinner last week for 220 people who all paid millions of dollars to Trump. Millions, 1 million, 2 million. You said it was meme coin, but that's not dollars. So, you know, need details, dude. I'm not disputing what you say. I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. What do you want, to get Trump out of office over that? Then we're going to be stuck with Kamala? I mean, come on, man. What are we talking? Are you on the team or not, D's? That's what I'm saying. We got to keep an eye on him, but there was one of two choices, and Trump was the choice. Trump so far is rocking it, I think. So what? People pay money to go have dinner with Trump. I'm sure that's happened for every politician. There's nothing new there, man. And if he wants to have it in a meme coin, he can do whatever he wants. How come a judge didn't come in and shut that down if it's illegal? That's the nonsense we're dealing with this government, man. So Mike Davis calls this judicial sabotage, what's going on with the judges. Every single step of the way, another judge has stood up and declared what Trump wanted to do was illegal. And that's just not the way that this is going to work at all, man. You have to hold them accountable. What do you want to do? Write them a letter? I mean, I'm thinking there's nothing unusual with a politician having a dinner and charging money to come to the dinner. That's how they raise money, man. I doubt it was for personal gain. I mean, they tried busting them for that for the last 4 years with these fraudulent prosecutions of Trump, man. They raided Mar-a-Lago looking for secret documents. They didn't find anything, man. This is called lawfare. Right, at least Trump is transparent about what he does. Right, Trina? Trump doesn't need any money, right, Carol? He's probably raising it for the war chest. I get texts like twice a week from Trump. That they want money. They need money to operate. So you know, I'm happy. I voted for this. We're well on our way to saving this country. It's going to happen one way or another. We're going to get our country back, and it's just something that we had to go through because of all the lame people out there. Here's how I was rolling around this weekend. Make America Great Again. It was awesome. In fact, I still got the flags on the van. Right, Carol, other countries have taken our money for years. That's the whole point with Trump. He says the EU was instituted just to rip off America on trade deals. And Trump, this is a great reset. You know, we're getting our country back. We're going to produce the things that we need in this country so that we don't have to go to war and buy bullets from the people we're at war with. Psychological warfare is being waged upon us. It's billions and billions of dollars has been spent on us to try to brainwash us. And there's a contingent of us who can see right through the malarkey. As soon as the 15 days to flatten the curve went by and nothing was happening and they amplified it and jacked up the game, we knew right away that was what was going on. But most have no idea that they were even on a battlefield, right? Is that truth or what, Patriots? These might just be someone sorting the things out right now here. I think a lot of people are just starting to sort things out. I've seen lots of videos of people going, I voted Democrat all my life. And, okay, I'm glad you told me you're a retard, first of all, but now they're all going, but I became a Republican. And what they don't realize yet is that the Republicans are just as bad. We're talking MAGA here. MAGA is what's saving this country, not the Republicans, not the Democrats. Jerry Plus is saying, where's the gold in Fort Knox? Elon was supposed to open up the fort and us peons see it. All Elon was doing is pointing out the waste that he found. Elon comes in, points at that and that and that and says, those are bogus contracts. That's bogus money going out. These are people that are just ripping us off for money. And that's all Elon does. He has no power to do anything. Elon pointed to Fort Knox, and all of a sudden, every American now knows that Fort Knox hasn't been audited since the 70s, the 1970s. And right, it has to be approved, and somebody's got to do something to make it all happen. Will it ever happen? I don't know. The government told everybody in the 20s you can't own gold. I mean, come on, and people complied. Lots of people didn't, though. There's like an awakening happening about the corruption that's been just rampant and ongoing for decades and decades, man. Well, Freedom Corner was a battle we won there, Jerry. And there's way more battles to be had, and we're on that now. And what does MSM, mainstream media, basically social media, has done to people is really criminal. It's literally hypnotization. I don't know why we're immune from it. I don't know why we can look at something and go, that's a lie, that's a lie. I don't believe that, even though it's presented as fact. I think it's a God thing. I pray for discernment, so I guess I got discernment, see? But what the TVs have done to people over the years, it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. We all had to just watch this happen. What was that? Just watch Maria Bartiromo interview Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, and to our faces, they said that Epstein killed himself, which we all know is a lie. And they said that the Butler assassination attempt on Trump is an open and shut case. The shooter is dead, and there is no further investigation going on that. I mean, I don't believe either of those statements. Yet that's Kash Patel and Dan Bongino doing it. I don't know why it has to happen this way. We live in an era of deceit on TV and stuff. That's not very. I mean, at least they're telling us to our face that's the official stance of the FBI. But there's other people possibly investigating this, like the Secret Service or the NSA or CIA or the Department of Defense. I mean, if somebody's trying to kill the president, I think the Department of Defense would have a stake in figuring that one out. So however the game's got to be played, we got our team in positions right now. Yeah, right, Jerry. Jerry, you don't want to go back and start streaming there, do you? Roy Bunger just went back there and did a little quick video. Right, and how many cell phones did the shooter have? How was the house disinfected? How does the family of the shooter, the supposed shooter, have one of the highest price attorneys in the whole country? How come the picture of the guy laying on the roof isn't Crooks? It's a whole nother person. Who's this Maxwell Urich guy? I mean, we know there is more to that story that will eventually be discovered, revealed. How come the other assassin hasn't been tried yet? Seems to be a cut and dried case. Dude's sitting there with a rifle at the side of a golf course. Boom, boom, boom. You're guilty. Go to jail. Why does this shit take so long? All I know is Trump is the one to do it, man. Putin is not his buddy. That's obvious by statements that he has made. He is just the leader of Russia, and Trump has to deal with the leader of Russia as the leader of America, of the United States of America. All kinds of wars happened under Obama and under FJB. Here's what I think a lot of the people got to understand, man. We can't stand the Republican Party. We hold our nose and deal with it to try to help Trump save our country. MAGA is what's saving our country right now. And that is clearly obvious by the inactivity of Congress right now. That's the Republicans and the Democrats there in Congress. MAGA is Trump and this cabinet that he has established. I'm so tired of holding my nose and voting. Trump is a breath of fresh air, and hopefully it is so fresh that everybody's going to never want it to go away. We love our country. We love God and our families, and anything that works against those three things must be eliminated. And this being Memorial Day, I'd like to memorialize all our fallen warriors. Too many have died defending this country. And it turns out that a lot of those wars were bogus. And that is satanic. That is absolutely satanic. But still, we got to respect those who gave all. And we got to get a grip on this government. I can't to give respect like this. It was a great speech, and Trump was saying all the things that we're talking about here right now. A lot of stupid wars going on that didn't need to happen. Warmongers made it all happen to make money. Money is the root of all evil. That's what the scriptures tell us. The courts and the jails make money on each criminal. That's right, Carol. Right. We've all lost family to these wars, and it would be nice for it to all end. And what's becoming obvious is this was the last administration right here. Literally, this is what was happening. Is that how you run the country? Is that how what our president is supposed to be doing? Dude was asleep at the wheel from the day he was elected. And they didn't even protect him. They let him trip up and down stairs and trip over sandbags and try to find stairs. If you voted for him, you didn't get what you wanted, what you voted for. Nobody did. They compiled against him. I mean, dude, there's a colonel. What's up with that? Same thing. Even worse is what she did. But now she's saying that she's not guilty of that? It's not even legal for them to destroy evidence, but they did. It's proven. They destroyed evidence. And then right about a week ago, we had the president of South Africa came into the White House, and Trump confronted him with the blatant government-sanctioned racism that is happening in his country. The opposition party, and the president of South Africa tried to make it sound like, well, we have free speech. You're allowed to say whatever you want. And that includes a guy standing up there that's running against him for president of South Africa, saying that they should kill the Boer, kill the farmer, kill the white people. I mean, yeah, that's ultimate free speech right there, but what do you do about that? Here in America, you got one guy, comes out with a song. Try that in a small town. and this has become obvious to a lot of us that were involved in the last 3 years of protests and stuff, I may have to vote more than just every 4 years to make a difference. It's probably going to take a little more than just voting every 4 years. What we got to do is get people to vote. And most people can't even do that. It's imperative that you vote. If you don't vote, you have no seat at the table of discussion. Called Congress a bunch of psychopathic authoritarians to their faces in his farewell address. There's not one guy can't do it all, but this isn't a news flash at all. When Ross Perot was running for president, everything the dude said was correct. Everything that he foretold would happen it happened because of the government mismanaging it. All those jobs left the country just like Ross Perot said they would. And Trump figured out how to get in on the two-party system and win. I think this is the judge here that stood up and the President of the United States' opinion, what he wants to do. Oh, is Jamie in here? I didn't see Jamie yet. There's Jamie. Hello, Jamie. How are you? We're just kind of winding down here. Yeah, the lone gunman. Right, Dan. Right, kid. Thanks, Jamie. Mainstream media came in and swept up the mess. These liars overnight, every single one of them has lied to our faces and caused immense human suffering in our population. All we got to do, we own their licenses, rescind their license, get them off the airwaves. CBS, same thing. Trump's winning lawsuits against CBS. Right on. Jamie Crow says July 13th, steel workers there. He just saved the whole steel industry in Pittsburgh. And he had to get jiggy with it. He had to allow foreign investors to come in and start up the steel industry again. Why did the steel industry leave in the first place? Government overregulation. Without foreign investors, if the government would have just got out of the way. Government overreach. Orange lady bad. Aren't they a bunch of clowns, man? What a bunch of clowns. Nothing new here, Patriots. Tens and hundreds of thousands of Americans have died to this corruption. unique. Awful big explosion for like one airliner, huh? Looks kind of hard to believe once you look back at it. Hard to believe that was even able to happen. Communications that have happened throughout the auto pen, corruption, throughout all the FJB administration, the Trump prosecutions. We should have all this information. We got our guy in office. He's got his cabinet in place. They're doing more than I've ever seen a presidential cabinet achieve at this point. Thousands of eliminated, useless employees are out of the way now. Yeah, Jamie Crow, we've been cutting in and out all the time. We're just going with it here. Could be the chemtrails. We're getting sprayed today. Will we ever get to the bottom of that? All right. Okay. So there we go, Patriots. We managed to get a stream out there today. Stay plugged in. There's definitely more to come. Cash Patel and Dan Bongino said there is more information that's going to be coming out here shortly. So no matter where they aim, they're going to hit a target, right? There's plenty of corruption to be taken care of all over the country right now. So hopefully we are on our way to solving the problems of this country. And we got to just be careful about getting split up, getting divided up. We got to stay united and try to get Congress to step it up, get back in line here. We got a couple of standout Republicans that want to just pull the brakes on the whole thing. We'll see. They could pass the big, beautiful bill. There's many, many ways of doing this, you know. So Trump says, pass that big, beautiful bill, and then we'll continue marching forward and saving this country. And we'll solve those other problems when we get to them, man. It's overwhelming when you look at the whole thing all at one time from one perspective. But if Trump says we need the big, beautiful bill, give him the big, beautiful bill. Because that's who's the head of your party right now. The point that Rand Paul and Ron Johnson are standing up against that is absolutely asinine. Check yourself, you know, make sure. Is your inflated ego getting in the way of any real progress there, Rand Paul and Ron Johnson? Yeah, you got valid points, but look at the condition we're in. The boat is sinking. We got to do something now. Grab a bucket and start bailing. Give President Trump the big, beautiful bill, and we will carry on from there. So right on. Thank you, A2Z. Appreciate you all being here, staying plugged in, and know that this matters. This is our country. It's important, man. This is something we all got to do. So God bless our fallen warriors. God bless our country, and God bless all you patriots. Definitely pray for us all. And pray that the awakening continues to happen, that more and more people every day are waking up to the nightmare, the hallucination that they've all been fed for all their lives, basically. It's easier to tell somebody they've been fooled. Wait, there's a saying like that somewhere. I can't remember, but it's got to happen this way. It's happening the way that God's hand has it happening. I believe he is saving this country, but we got to stick with the program. All right, God bless you, Patriots. This is Jericho.